In a quiet town on the outskirts of Washington, D.C., lived a humble man named Thomas Tom Wilson. He worked as a high school janitor, dedicating more than 20 years to keeping the halls of Jefferson High School clean and ensuring that students had a safe, well-maintained space to learn. Tom was a man of few words, someone who preferred to stay in the background, carrying out his duties without drawing attention. Yet, despite his reserved nature, his quiet kindness left a lasting impression on those around him, even though he never sought recognition. Now, in his mid-50s, Thomas led a simple life. He was far from wealthy and had no interest in chasing the material success that many pursued. His world revolved around his family, his wife Eleanor, and their 2 children, Marcus and Lily, as well as his job at Jefferson High. To the students, he was known as Mr. Wilson, a familiar, steady presence who always greeted them with a warm smile, no matter how challenging his day had been. His routine was straightforward: wake up early, complete his cleaning duties with care, and return home in the evening to spend time with his family. The work wasn't glamorous, but it was honest, and Tom took great pride in doing it well. For years, the students had admired him for his unwavering dedication, even if they weren't fully aware of the struggles he faced. Tom had never been one to share his hardships, but beneath the surface, he carried burdens that weighed on him. His aging Cara, rusty old sedan that had seen better days was a constant reminder of those struggles. It had once belonged to his father and had been repaired more times than Tom could count. Though it wasn't much to look at, it still got him where he needed to go. Lately, however, the vehicle had begun to show its age, the engine made strange noises, and patches of chipped paint revealed the wear of time. Still, Tom never complained. He made do with what he had because life had taught him to persevere. What Tom didn't realize was that his life was about to change in a way he never could have imagined. It all began on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. Tom was in the school gymnasium, sweeping up after basketball practice. The students had already left for the day, and the building was quiet. The rhythmic sound of the broom moving across the floor echoed through the empty space. Tom found solace in the simplicity of the task. It was a rare moment of peace, a time when he could gather his thoughts without interruption. The only light came from the overhead fluorescent bulbs, casting a dim glow on the polished wooden floors. As he worked, the sound of approaching footsteps broke his concentration. Tom looked up to see a tall figure walking toward him. It was Barron Trump, the son of former U.S. President Donald Trump. Barron had recently transferred to Jefferson High for his senior year, sparking curiosity among both students and faculty. While his father's political career had kept him in the public eye, Barron himself was known for being reserved, preferring to avoid attention. Like any other student, he focused on his studies and tried to blend in. Barron approached Tom with a friendly smile, something Tom hadn't expected. The young man was dressed casually in a hoodie and jeans, a stark contrast to the suits his father often wore. "Mr. Wilson, hey!" Barron said in a polite, soft-spoken voice. "I just wanted to say thank you for everything you do here. I've noticed how hard you work to keep the school clean, and I really appreciate it." Tom paused, caught off guard. He wasn't used to being acknowledged like this, especially not by someone like Barron Trump. "Ah, no need for that, son," Tom said, scratching the back of his head. "It's just my job, just doing what I'm supposed to do." "I know," Barron replied, his expression sincere, "but it's obvious that you care about your work, and I respect that." Tom gave a small nod, a bit flustered. "Well, thank you, that means a lot." For a moment, silence settled between them. Barron shifted his weight, seeming hesitant before he spoke again. "I've been thinking about something," he said, glancing down briefly before meeting Tom's eyes once more. "You don't have to answer right away, but I'd really like to help you. I've noticed that you've been driving that old." "You've been driving that old car for years, right?" Tom's heart skipped a beat. He had never mentioned his car to anyone, but somehow Barron had noticed. Unsure of how to respond, he hesitated. "I'm fine," Tom stammered. "It's nothing to worry about. It gets me where I need to go." "I know," Baron said, his tone unwavering. "But I want to do something for you. You've been so kind to everyone here, and you never ask for anything in return. I'd like to give you something." Tom was caught off guard. I don't know what you mean, son." Baron smiled, reaching into his pocket and pulling out a set of keys. "I want to give you a new car," he said. "It's a gift, no strings attached. Just a way for me to say thank you for everything you do." Tom's eyes widened. "A new car? You can't be serious." "I am," Baron said firmly. "I've already arranged for a brand new SUV to be delivered to your house this weekend. It's yours." Tom was at a loss for words. The thought of owning a new SUV seemed like an impossible dream. He had always worked hard and done his best, but never in his life had he imagined that someone, especially the son of a former president, would offer him something so generous. I don't know what to say," Tom whispered, his voice trembling. "You don't have to say anything," Baron replied gently. "Just accept it. You deserve it." Overwhelmed with emotion, Tom struggled to process what was happening. He had spent his entire life putting others first, never stopping to think about his own needs. To have someone recognize him and offer something so selflessly was deeply humbling. Tears welled up in his eyes, and he turned away for a moment to collect himself. Baron, noticing Tom's emotional reaction, placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You've done so much for others, Mr. Wilson," he said softly. "It's time someone did something for you." That evening, Tom went home in a daze. He hadn't yet shared the conversation with his family, but the thought of a new car felt like a miracle. As he sat at the dinner table with Eleanor, he struggled to find the right words. "Tom, what's wrong?" Eleanor asked, noticing his distant expression. He looked at her, his eyes filled with emotion. "Eleanor, you're not going to believe this," he said before explaining everything: Baron's offer, the SUV, and the unexpected kindness shown to him. His wife listened in stunned silence, her eyes widening with disbelief. They had never been the kind of people to expect help from others, especially from someone with wealth and influence. But as they talked, they realized that Baron's gesture wasn't just about the car. It was about recognizing the quiet, often unnoticed contributions of people like Tomthos, who worked hard every day without seeking recognition. When the new SUV arrived that weekend, Tom couldn't contain his joy. It was a sleek black vehicle with a modern design that made his old car look like a relic of the past. But for Tom, it wasn't about the car itself, it was about the thoughtfulness and generosity behind it. The following week, he went to school, where Baron was waiting for him. The young man smiled and handed him a set of personalized keys with a small bow attached. "I hope it serves you well, Mr. Wilson," Baron said. Tom took the keys, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you, Baron. I'll never forget this." Word of Baron's kindness spread quickly through Jefferson High, and the students were deeply moved by his generosity. But Tom remained as humble as ever, refusing to let the attention change him. He continued his work with the same quiet dedication, though now there was a noticeable spring in his step as he drove his new SUV to school each morning. The act of kindness created a ripple effect throughout the school, reminding everyone that the most powerful gestures often come from the simplest places. Generosity wasn't just about money or status, it was about recognizing and appreciating those who made a difference in their own quiet way. Tom had never expected anything like this to happen to him, but that moment when Baron Trump reached out to him changed his life forever. It wasn't just about the car. It was about a young man who saw value in someone often overlooked, someone who had spent his life giving without expecting anything in return. As for Baron, he didn't see it as a grand gesture. To him, it was simply the right thing to do. A small act of kindness that, in the end, inspired others to do the same. And that was the greatest gift of all.